Hi everybody, in today's video I want to talk to you about the expenditure that I incurred when I was renting a house in Sohong, the reasons why I left, and the reasons why I decided to buy a house in Paho under someone else's name, and then after that I would like to go into the budget that we are incurring at the moment in the city. So bear with me, I'm holding my mobile phone manually and to allow me to zoom into some of the spreadsheets. So first of all, I came over to the Philippines during the height of the pandemic in this November 2021. I spent 10 days in Manila in quarantine. Now, my intended destination was Paho. I did not want to arrive in Mactan not having any accommodation available, because at that time I did not know whether hotels were free, or if they were open, what restrictions they have, or what vast amount of money they was going to charge. So I went online before I left for the Philippines and I arranged for a lease for a house in a compound in Sohong, on the understanding that Sohong was very near Paho, and the owner, or the person I corresponded with, was adamant that Sohong was only 5 minutes away from Paho. Unfortunately, that was bullshit, because in the evening, sometimes it took me over an hour to get from Paho to Sohong. And if the traffic was bad, which it normally is between the hours of 6 and 8, and it's raining, the traffic just crawls along, and sometimes it can take me even longer. Not only that, but I had to get off at the top of the road from where I lived, and I had to walk a good 15 minutes through a dark lane to the housing compound. So, not only that, but I paid 20,000 pesos per month for that house. I believe at the time it was roughly $400. The owner wanted $500, but I refused. So he removed the TV, the washing machine, and the aircon. So basically, you're paying for that appliances on his behalf, and also you're paying his mortgage on his behalf. And this is one of the downfalls that I do not like about renting. So anyway, I will now go into the spreadsheet just to give you a rough idea what I was costs I incurred when I was in Sohong. Okay, I paid 20,000 deposit, and I paid 20,000 on the first month's rent, which was refundable. But anyway, the rent, if we go to the lower, the two last rows, it will give you more indication, because I was already paying the rent in September when I wasn't even in Manila, but that was the agreement that I started the lease from, to guarantee that the house was in my name. So anyway, if we go over to January, I was paying 20,000 pesos rent, 2,237.35 electric, or let's make it easier, let's go to the bottom row. 20,000 rent, 2,442 electric, 152 water, internet was 2336, and security was 789. Now, the electric, water, and internet was all in the owner's name, and he just used to send me a photocopy of the bills every month, and I just used to pay it through GCash. Security, I paid cash to someone on the compound, which I don't really believe why I paid it, because every time I walked past him, the security man was sleeping. But anyway, every month he used to come for his 20,000 peso rent, and that is what really, really used to get up my nose, because I've never in my life paid or rented anywhere in my life. I've always owned my own property. And paying 20,000 peso out every month for what I could see was not worth it, it really hurt me. There was cockroaches running around. I arrived in the Philippines on December the 3rd, and on December the 16th, we had the typhoon, one of the worst, if not the worst typhoon the Philippines has ever had. I had water running down the walls, water coming through the ceilings in both bedrooms, soaking our mattress. Water was running inside the kitchen cupboards. The electric was off. The water was off. Everything was off. And not one person from that owner came to see if we were okay. They appeared a few months later. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but at least 6 or 7, 8 weeks later, because the electric didn't come on until February. Now, to me, landlords have a duty of care. I've rented property out to people, and I've made sure that they're looked after and repairs are done completely, but not in this particular case. Anyway, the total for that particular month was 25,678. No, sorry again, 25,678. Anyway, to some people that may sound not very much, and it isn't very much, but it was the location, which was crap. And that was not the location that I wanted, although I was told it was. So, if we go down further slightly, I've done a rough spreadsheet from March all the way down. Now, I paid 20,000 rent, yes. The facilities on average was 5,422. Jeeps I worked out to be 2,160 every month. And taxes I averaged out at 6 per month, but it was sometimes more than that. Sometimes it was double if it was raining all the time. Remember, standing out in the rain for a Jeep is not fun. They don't have shelters as we know it. You stand on the side of the road and just wave it down, and then 9 times out of 10 it's full. And if you're carrying big bags of shopping or laundry or anything like that, and it's between say 6 and 8 o'clock in the evening, or sometimes earlier, you will not get on a jeepney and people will not move for you, so you had to catch taxis. So on average, with 6 taxis a month, my expenses would have been 29,082. Now, okay, it's still not a lot to some people, but it wasn't where I wanted to live. And this is the problem with renting. If you don't like the area, you have to move on. If you don't like the neighbours, you have to move on. The landlord could put up the rent every year if he wanted to, or every month if he wanted to. And if you're not prepared to pay it, you have to move on. So you're constantly moving on if you're not happy where you are. But I did not want this. I wanted to be in one location and be happy and settled, travel around the islands fair, but come back to my home. And this is what I decided to do. I decided to leave Sohong and look for a place in Paho. And Paho is a very close-knit little town, no rentals, or if they are, they're in worse condition as what the one in Song is. But by word of mouth, we finally found a house which someone was selling, and we went for it, and it's within 5 minutes walking distance to my friend's family. We don't need jeepneys, we don't need taxis, we don't need anything, even though I've just bought a car, a cheap Suzuki van for picking up stock, because my friend has a small sari shop, and that's about all. So that was my reasons for leaving. So let's jump ahead now, and I will go down to the house. Now, I accounted for everything in the house, all the work, materials and everything, so I've got a record. Now, I'm not going to delve into everything, but for information, I spent 2.4 million on the house. I bought the house and the land for 2.4 million. It was a 3-story house. The house has a room at the back of the roof, what I use for exercise and painting, and that looks over the Paho bus terminal and out towards Mandawi Mountains. Now, I've included in this price list the house admin and all the appliances that I bought so far. Also, it includes renovation from the top of the roof all the way down to the porch and outside. Walls were knocked down, walls were put up. Every tile in the house was removed. Doors were replaced, ceilings were replaced, electrics were replaced, plastering was replaced. The stairs were moved and replaced in another location. An additional washing machine room was put in downstairs. A brand new kitchen was put in. And if you look down to the second from bottom, MCWD, that is the Cebu Water Division, where I got rid of my deep well in the kitchen because the water was slimy and smelly and we had problems with it. I installed MCWD water, which was the main tap was 200 meters away, so I had to buy 200 meters worth of pipe, which cost me 21,000 plus various joints and angles, etc., etc. The basewood, for example, was all the skirting boards around the entire house. Now, that came to 2,785,398. Now, if I go to the other column, which I have deducted the house admin and the appliances, and this list is just for renovation, including labour and materials. Now, let me just point out one thing to you on this. We moved in this house in March, and as you can imagine, December was the typhoon. So carpenters were in great demand. Now, in the city, carpenters will cost more and materials will cost more. So my complete renovation may seem a lot, but in reality, what they did was absolutely, they changed everything. They absolutely changed everything. And it was at a time when, like I said, carpenters were in demand. So you had to pay that little bit extra. So I paid 2,033,091 pesos for the complete renovation materials and labour to get my house as I want it. And that includes everything. It includes fitted kitchen, everything, new doors, tiles, everything. Everything throughout was renewed. Now, some people may say, yes, but you can't buy a house under your name, and that is absolutely true. Now, the way I look at it is this. If you're with a partner for X amount of years, and she is good to you and she looks after you, especially when you get older, and she looks after you until your last breath, doesn't she deserve something in return? There are a lot of men out there that live with these partners. They get the partners to look after them through sickness and in health, and when they die, the partner is still in rented accommodation, which they cannot afford and have to move out. So I was quite happy to buy a house under my partner's name on the agreement that if anything happened to our relationship, I was allowed to stay in the house until I die, and this was done via a solicitor. So I am quite happy to die knowing that I've left her something that she can live in and maybe help her family and etc. etc. So guys, think about that. So let's go to the total figures. Come across, go down. Now, the original figure was 5,185,398, but since that I have bought some stuff like wardrobes, bedside tables, dining tables, coffee tables, books, small bed from Mandawi, foam mattress, etc. etc. Now the total has come now to 5,291,038. Now that includes the price of the land, the house, the renovation, labour, materials, all taxes to the finance department, and also my appliances. Now, if some people are wondering what sort of appliances I got, just for example, yeah, these are my appliances. Fridge, freezer, TV times 2 because we got one upstairs and one downstairs, a temporary bed for the spare room, folding bed, garden tables and chairs, Sky TV was the deposit, kitchen stuff, a small AC and balcony, oven, hob, fan, washing machine, split ACs, that's 2, one big one and one small one in the bedroom, exercise bike, sofas, handmade sofas, wardrobes, but everything that you basically need, we bought, and they was the main things. So I know that some people might think, wow, that's a lot of money, 5,291,038, but it's in the city, so you expect to pay more in the city. But the good thing about the city is I can walk to an hospital, it's 10 minutes away. I can walk to the bus terminal, it's 2 minutes away. In fact, my car is parked in the bus terminal now. I've got permission to park my car there. And the super metro is across the road. If I want bread, I can be back over the metro and back in the house in 15 minutes. Now, I saw a film the other morning about a young couple that lives in the mountains and they got pig farms, etc. Nice couple, very funny and everything else. He said he got onto the topic of medical insurance. He says he does not have medical insurance because the worst things that can happen to him is having a stroke or heart attack. And it would take 3 hours for the ambulance to reach him anyway. And by that time, he will be dead. Now, what he's saying is absolutely correct. But why do you want to live like that? Why do you want to have that fear that, you know, you could die, have a stroke young, you could have a heart attack young? Surely if you come to the Philippines, you want to spend as much time as possible enjoying your time here in the Philippines. And that is one of the advantages that I see by living in the city. If I had a heart attack, I could be in an hospital in 10 minutes. I know the provinces are nice, fresh air, wildlife, plant life, nice gardens, fresh fruit, blah, blah, blah. But in Paho, we've got a fresh market, we've got a fish market, we've got everything that you want. So please think about this when you're deciding where to move. Anyway, That's enough on the house. So let's move to my budget now. Now, Paho outgoings. This has been slightly changed, slightly. Okay, this is my budget. I don't pay rent. So let's go to the bottom rows, January and February. I paid, let's go February. I paid $3,097.71 in electric. Now, that is my lowest so far, apart from when I first moved in. Because as you can see from March all the way down to October, it was renovation. And at the peak in October, I had loads of workmen here, power tools going, fans going, air conditioning going, doors open, everything happened. So that was my highest electric bill of nearly 10,000. But now it's coming down to 3097, and I hope it to reduce it even more. That includes electric on during the day for normal appliances, and air conditioning on in one of the bedrooms in the evening. I pay $2,999 for Sky TV, which gives me cable like BBC World, etc., internet, Wi-Fi, YouTube. Is the TV I've got is a smart, so I get YouTube and all loads of other channels, which to me YouTube is probably the only thing that I do watch on it. I also have the water, which at the moment the 7,500 for the water is for the initial fee for MCWD to switch the mains on, and for the inspector to come and check and everything. So that's a one-off payment. But my water bill this month was 166, but I do expect it to go up more. Netflix, I pay this from the UK, but I've converted it into peso, and this month it was 55247. And like I said, probably YouTube and Netflix are the only things that I watch on my TV, and also BBC News every morning. Now, so the total for, if we say February, was 6,815 pesos. Wow. That's not too bad, is it? Mainly because I'm not paying rent. And that's one of the advantages of buying your own house, because you're not paying someone else's mortgage for them. So, now, let's say 7,000 to round it off. I pay, now I've got a car, I pay rental of a parking space in the terminal, which is 600 per month. When we get our toiletries, I may pay, say at the very, very most for toiletries and washing powder, softener, etc., is 4,000. So that's, say, 11,600. We don't have pets. We don't smoke. We don't drink. We don't go out often because she works in the sari store and I am doing painting, etc. So if we do go out to a restaurant, it's going to be just now and again, just a treat. But we do eat very, very well. I eat porridge in the morning with fresh fruit. At lunchtime, I may have a sandwich or a cheese on toast, whatever. And in the evening, and she buys lunch herself at lunchtime, which is about 150 peso. In the evening, we can go and buy Filipino food, like pansit, chop suey, chicken, pork, and it doesn't cost us 200 pesos or 250 pesos. You got to, if you want to live like a local, doesn't mean you have to starve, because there are certain levels. I don't mind Filipino food, and if you don't mind it, then you can live very, very cheaply, even in the city. The city doesn't mean everything's expensive. Maybe rent, but I don't pay rent. Now, a lot of foreigners turn their nose up even at the look of Filipino food. I personally don't like the smell of the dried fish in the market. I don't eat dried fish. But everything else, I give it a go. But some foreigners won't. They're adamant. They want their steaks. They want Jollibee. You know, it can go on. And that is where all the expenses are. So my motto is, as in Rome. You're in the Philippines. Enjoy the Philippines. Enjoy the food. You come over here to live cheaply. So it doesn't mean you have to starve. So I can't really go any further explaining my budget. I may, at the very most, including food, it may cost me 26 to 30,000 per month in total, and that's all I pay. The rest I just save. As a budget, I don't have a budget as such, but what I don't spend, I save, and that's good. So I hope this has helped. It went on a bit longer than I thought, but they are the reasons, and I apologise for the cockerel if it was making a noise, but I think what people say, that living in the city is more expensive, not necessarily. Personally, I would buy my own house, even if it's under your partner's name. If it's a long-term partner, you owe us something. But why should you pay someone else's mortgage for them for the next 18 years? What I pay rent in Song compared to what I paid for renovation and everything else may take 19, 20 years to pay. But that's 19, 20 years you're paying off someone's mortgage. And you're paying for their appliances. They install a wash machine and they might put the rent up. So you're paying for it. No, sorry guys. I don't like that idea. I hope this has helped. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.